What's good, everybody? Is when I come back at you another video. So this video is going to be all about accomplishing your goals, and the focus of this video are accomplishing the big goals, right? So I have the title of this video: in order to accomplish big goals, you need to do this. And before we jump in, I want to talk about the 3 different goals that can be set. And I learned this from the late great Bob Proctor, so shout out to him, right? First goal is A type goal, next is a B type goal, and lastly, it is a C type goal. So the first type of goal, A type goal, is a goal that you already know how to do, something that you've already done before. So let's just say, for example, this is a very random example. Say you are a hot dog vendor on the street, right? And you normally serve 50 customers a day, right? Say your goal is to serve 50 customers for the day. That would serve as an A type goal because you've already done this before. You know how to do this because you've done this before, and chances are you've done this many times before. So that would serve as an A type goal. You already know how to do this, and so there's extreme familiarity with this, right? If normal day you do 50 covers, 50 customers, and your goal for days to do another 50, right? That is an A type goal. A B type goal, which is the second tier, is a goal that you think you can do, right? So if let's just say you've done on average each day is 50 customers, let's say a B type goal could be 100 customers, right? Now, if your daily average is 50, right, then there's probably some days where you might get 60, 70 customers. And then there might be other days where you might get 30 customers, right? But if you've already gotten on a day 70, 80, right? Say, for example, your hot dog stand is next to a park or something, and summertime, it gets very popular. It's a lot of people, right? Then those could be days where you get more and more customers because there's more foot traffic, and it's very possible for you to get 100 customers in a day, right? Like you've done this before, or probably gotten close to it. So that would be a B type goal, something that you think you can do, right? That you have evidence, prior evidence of gotten, getting close, or, that would serve as a B type goal. A C type goal is a really big goal that you don't even know how you can even get close to. And for example, a C type goal in this case could be serving 1,000 customers in a day, right? And you're probably thinking, like, this is such a large scale goal that you don't even know where to begin, right? In this video, when I'm talking about big goals, I'm referring to those C type goals where you don't even have any idea where to begin. You don't know how something is going to happen. It is all about that, right? Because if you're a standalone hot dog vendor doing 50 customers a day, you'll probably think is pretty much impossible for you to serve 1,000 customers each and every day, right? But that would serve as a C type goal where you don't even know where to begin, how that's going to happen, right? This video is going to be all about that. It's going to be all about the C type goals. And in order to accomplish C type goals, right, this is what's going to be the most important component. To accomplish C type goals, you need to get on the frequency of your goal and operate from there. The trap that many people fall victim to is that they can have a major, massive goal, but yet they'll still be operating from where they're at in the present moment rather than striving to operate from where the end goal is at, right? If we were to use the hot dog vendor as an example, right? Hot dog vendor selling 50 hot dogs a day, right? 50 customers. If the hot dog vendor has a goal of serving 1,000 customers per day, right? But they continue just showing up as their normal version of just them standing there making hot dogs, then it is unlikely for them to reach their goal because they're not doing anything different. They're not operating from a different mindset or mentality. Because the hot dog vendor normally just stands in one spot and, waits around for customers to come to them, and then they'll serve them hot dogs, right? for if that vendor had the C-type goal of serving 1,000 customers a day and they began operating from that goal, then they would begin using their imagination to begin thinking about what would that look like. Me selling 1,000, hot dogs, 1,000 customers a day. What would that look like? And then begin working, create an idea of what that person is, how that person's operating, what that person's doing, and then thinking from that person's mentality, from their mindset, to then make the necessary adjustments in order to get there, right? A standard 50 customers per day hot dog stand, it would just be a vendor who would just sit there and just wait for customers to come to them that say, hey, I want a hot dog, and then they'll serve them, right? But a vendor that is looking to serve 1,000 customers a day, what they'll do, they might create posters and start putting posters around the surrounding neighborhood to help get the word out of their hot dog, right? They may create a website, or a lot of people like to use Google Maps, right? They may create a post on Google Maps showcasing that this is their location, right? So then when people open up Google Maps and they look at the surrounding restaurants, their hot dog stand could pop up, right? Something else that this person could do, this person could have a website, or this person could have a famous slogan, or this person, right, like, to help get the name out, to help get the word out, to help advertise the business. And this person could also think to themselves, well, it might not be physically possible for me alone to serve 1,000 customers, so maybe it might require me getting additional stands and hiring additional people so that we can be placed at different locations and serve other people, right? Or maybe it could be that as a hot dog stand seller, maybe I could probably get a few contestants to do a hot dog eating contest to bring attention and awareness to my stand, to make my stand not only about food, but also entertainment, to help create buzz around the community, right? Or maybe I myself need to go out and meet the people in the community, get to know other people, so that if people know who I am and have a genuine interaction with me and remember the interaction with me, then if they want a hot dog, they'll always remember to come to my stand. And then I can develop a loyal following, right? Like, there's so many different ways to approach it, but this is how the process operates, right? It is having your C-type goal and then thinking from the perspective of this person who sells 1,000 customers a day, or 1,000 hot dogs a day, what that person would be doing, thinking on that same frequency. Because if this person is selling 50 hot dogs a day and they just sit back on their chair reading the newspaper, waiting until someone approaches them for a hot dog, then, and without, there's no human interaction, then they're just going to be a regular hot dog stand. Like, they're not going to be any different than a hot dog stand down the street. But in order for you to get that many customers, right, you need to do things that make you stand out. You need to leave a lasting impact, a memorable impact, and provide value to people that's not just in the form of hot dog. Now, of course, if you have by far the best hot dogs, then people are going to return to you. But if you can not only provide them with exceptional food, but also exceptional service, and also get your name out there and have some sort of branding and not just be hot dog stand, right? Like, if you have your own brand with your unique colors, with your own name, and if you do things differently, then that is going to be in the minds of other people, right? And this is how certain businesses end up being staples, right? Because they end up leaving lasting impacts on people. So it's the same idea in all other areas, right? If you're working at a company and your goal is to one day be CEO, and you're entry level employee right now, you can't continue showing up as an entry level employee each and every day and expect to one day just become CEO, right? You need to show up as the CEO before it happens, because if you show up dressed the part, right? If you show up with the right attitude, if you show up like you own the place, if you operate with supreme confidence, if you're respectful and you provide value to each and every person that crosses path with you, right? You are going to stand out, in the eyes of other people, and you are going to provide exceptional service and deliver quality work that's going to be recognized and have you move up the ladder until you get there. It's not that once you become CEO, then you begin showing up as a CEO. No, you have to show up as that person before it happens. The same idea if you were to own a restaurant, right? Like, one of the highest forms of recognition that you can get in the restaurant industry is receiving a Michelin star, because it is extremely difficult and very unlikely for a restaurant to receive a Michelin star, right? And restaurants can receive up to 3 Michelin stars. So even if you receive 1 Michelin star, that means you're delivering exceptional food and exceptional service, right, to your guests. And Michelin stars, they're not permanent, right? They can be taken away, right? So it's like each and every year they're handed out. So you have to continue with a certain standard if you want to maintain being a Michelin star recipient. So it's not that you can run a restaurant and have it run average and then receive a Michelin star and then decide to be a Michelin star restaurant, and it doesn't work there, right? You need to be operating and running like a Michelin star business in order for you to be recognized as a Michelin star recipient. It's the same idea with any of these big goals that you want to accomplish, that you want to, make happen. You need to first tap into that energy, tap into that frequency, be on the same frequency as that goal, and then operate from there, right? You can't run a small business, expect it to grow into $1 billion business by, only giving it a little bit of attention, right? If your business right now is only worth $1,000 and you want it to be $1 billion business, you can't look at the business as a $1,000 business, because if you do, then you're probably only going to do a little bit of work here and there. You're only going to give it a little bit of attention, right? If you've seen that $1,000 business as a $1 billion business and you treat it as such, then it's inevitable for it to grow into a $1 billion business, because you're putting the necessary attention and the resources and the focus behind it to grow it, right? That is the difference. You don't get there and then it becomes that because you arrived there. You need to be that before it gets there, right? Because it needs to first become before the rest of the physical reality and the world can catch up to it to then make it what it should be. That's how it all works. So pretty much the main idea here is that you want to think and operate from the end goal, right? What does the end goal look like, and how do I begin taking the necessary action steps to match that, right? Think from that vantage point. Don't just look at present reality and just operate from present reality, right? You need to use your imagination and your creativity and your ability to think critically, to make decisions that is beyond what is already being seen right now, to then create something that didn't previously exist. So that is the fun in it. That is the joy and the thrill. And the last piece that I'll leave you with this is this. When we set goals, of course, we want to accomplish the goal. That's why we set out the goal, right? To accomplish it. But when we set goals, is actually less about accomplishing it and more about the person that you're required to become in order to accomplish it, right? The true purpose of goal setting is to essentially force yourself to grow. It's to force yourself to improve and to be better so that you can achieve the goal. It's most people, when they set goal, it is for the destination, but the true reason for setting goals is for your own growth, is to force you to become someone you haven't been before in order to get something you haven't gotten before. That is the true purpose of it, because when you think and operate from the end goal in mind, you have to become a different human being. You need to become a different person, operate with a different mentality so that you can reach that goal. And that is the true joy in it, because then you get to learn so much about yourself and you get to grow and improve so much that and tap into the potential and the greatness that you had previously that you didn't even know existed and that you weren't aware of. So that is the true purpose of goals, for you to grow. Of course, we want to accomplish the goals. Of course, the journey is fun and the journey is more important than the destination, but all of that is important. But going through the journey requires you to grow and bring out something out of you that you didn't know existed in order for you to get there. And that is what's going to be most fulfilling. So if you set big goals, remember that is how you need to operate. You need to operate with the end in mind. You need to operate from at the end, even if you're, you know, you need to be operating from point Z, even if right now in the physical world you're at point A. That is how you're able to close the gap between where you're at and where it is that you want to be. That wraps up. If you enjoyed the video, do leave a like and subscribe as we're on the road to 1 million subscriber, guys. So once again, it's Joel, and I'm out. I'll see you guys for the next video.